Alright. Still fighting a cold, but we're still going to go through it. More Kerbal Space Program. More awesomeness in space. So let's see. What do we that's right. Yeah, we need a rescue from the surface of Minmus. That should be an interesting one. It's kind of which one I feel like doing right now, I think, too. I have 16 Kerbals on assignment. Quite a list. Alright, let's see. Ooh, the refueler's gonna have a moon encounter. That might actually be worth doing, rather than bringing it back to Kerbin. I think that is actually probably what I'm going to do. Because, I mean, otherwise it's going to kick it out into a really weird orbit. So, oh, and this lander is landed at the poles. That kind of sucks. That's not going to be fun. Okay. Well, let's start by flying our backup lander. And make sure we don't overmine. Leave ourselves stranded down here. I think 300 Delta V should be enough. But we do not have enough ore just yet. So while the reserve lander is collecting ore, I think we need to go back to the prime lander and send the prime lander on its way to go pick up our stranded Kerman. For our stranded Kerman contract. It'd actually be a good idea to take this thing with us. See if we can just get away without it. Let's leave it fueled, though. Let's not take fuel from the rescue craft. That's maybe not the best idea, huh? Okay, we need to take it from here. And we need to refill the 2 monoprop tanks. Which apparently stops the flow of fuel for some reason. We refill the monoprop. Which I just did wrong. Anyway. Because what we need is to get everything here all set up. Realistically, this can probably launch itself back. Probably keep the transfer vehicle here for the moment. Still gotta figure out what to do with this nuclear transfer vehicle, because it is not doing us very much good. Especially without any RCS nozzles on it. Kind of pointless. Alright. So our lander's all set. Okay, it is empty. So we're gonna undock it. And we're gonna just very gently back it away from the station. Alright, now we need to do some serious inclination change. Ah, without RCS, please. Because we need to get to this landed. Oof. A really awkward place. We're doing good there. Try not to burn through all our monoprop this time. Alright, we'll leave at least that much monoprop left. Alright. which is inclining this a ridiculous amount in order to reach this thing. And then, of course, we'll need to go back and try and do this all over again in reverse. Which might mean we might only really be able to get to orbit with this thing once we pick him up. Let's just do this in the craziest fashion possible. And try and not have to worry about the rotation of Minmus under us. Yeah, because that's going to mess us up. That's what it's going to do. Okay. That's quite annoying. Needing to change our inclination at the last minute anyway. Okay. There we go, towards the crazy rescue mission. Okay, that should put us pretty much right overhead of the lander. That we need to rescue. At least in theory. How's the ground looking below us? .52 kilometers. Okay. We're gonna fall short of it. That's not good. Oh. Of course, I did forgot to set it to stability assist. So, stability assist. I'll just kind of aim this up a little ways. No, 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 no. Not point away from target. Having a weird moment. Point towards, point up. Thank you. There we go, back on target. Okay, you retrograde again. Not do that yet. Let's aim straight like this and kind of keep our horizontal velocity. Slow us down a little bit. Should put us just a little over it again. Good. Good, good. More over it would be better. So both slowing us down and adjusting us, so we're going to go over it as well. Don't really have any useful lighting. Actually looking pretty good here. So let's move into target one more time. We should be pretty much falling right for it now. Pretty close. Honestly, pretty close. .73 is the altitude. Oh, this is remarkably close. $300 meters, 200 meters or so. Yeah, I didn't need to decelerate that quickly. It was a little excessive. A feel for this right here. Now we're going to be pretty short fueled to get to orbit, I will say that. Oh, just a little hop. That shouldn't be a problem. Alright. Not the smoothest landing ever, but it did do the job. Luke Skirman, can you... Is there anything in there to worry about? Guess not. Take a surface sample. Plant the flag. Oh, he's got his company flag instead of ours. What a dick. Leakus Carmen. I might as well load up on science while we're here, of course. That was actually a pretty close landing. That's really not bad at all. Oh, the trick is going to be getting back into orbit. So maybe the only thing we can do is a high inclination orbit. Okay, get on up there. Oop, maybe don't do that. Weirdness, whatever that just was. Okay, I want you to do a jumping EVA report. Doesn't even give you any credit for being so near the pole. It's just lowlands. That's kind of lame. All right. Nope, don't do that. Okay, this is an engineer. Okay, it's a plus. Been better to have a scientist, but you know, don't get to pick who I'm rescuing here. There you go. Take a bunch of reports. Okay. Start all that fun. And then when we take back off, I think we're going to go ahead and retake all those experiments in low orbit. So now the question is, how do I want to go about doing this? Like, every way I go is going to be a polar inclination orbit anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Wow, we really within 74 meters? Wow. That's actually not bad. It looked even good, but I mean, that 74 meters, that's not much at all. All right, so since we're already kind of tilted this way, we're going to go down this 270 line. So I'm going to just start taking off now. We got enough to get off the ground. While we're doing that, we're going to log temperature. We're going to take a crew report. I'm going to kill the engine real quick. Log pressure data. Log data. Mystery goo. Okay. Now we work on orbit. Let's at least get it into an orbit. I'm not going to worry about the inclination yet. Because we do not have a lot of fuel. This could be another one of those rescue craft missions. A rescue craft for the rescue craft. Sometimes it's necessary. Everything seems safe for the moment. I want to make sure I monitor our trajectory. We're almost to a safe altitude anyway. I think the highest peak on Minmus is around 7,000 something. Oh! Oh, that's cool. You can actually see the Kerman in the thing. I did not know you could do that. Here's our happy Kerman. That is a really cool feature. That is really cool. When did this happen? That is so cool. I had no knowledge of this. I wonder if it's just this this capsule or if there's other ones too. Anyway, we can probably time warp a little bit up to our maneuver. We are only going to be 2 seconds away from the start of the maneuver node when we start. Or I could just miss the window. Yeah, not really going to worry about inclination. More worried about us actually having an orbit. Which we now do. Okay. Try and correct as much inclination as possible to make it a little easier for the rescue craft. Don't want to blow up our orbit by that much. We've reached the limit of what we can manage there. So we are once again going to run out of fuel. Oh. Why does it show me like this big cutout? Oh, that's weird. I thought it wasn't going to show like these big cutouts here. These aren't exactly windows. Is that a glitch? No, just let you see the whole thing. is cool, though. Oh, we got 31 minutes to this maneuver? No, we're gonna time warp to it. Oh. I made this harder on ourselves, I think. Whoops. Sure did. Damn. It put us into a retrograde orbit. So in our last 8 seconds of fuel. Trying to get this exact here. Actually going over other landing sites. Yeah, the high inclination made this definitely very challenging. Alright, so there we go. That's our orbit. So we're gonna have to launch that rescue vehicle. Ah, boy. Make sure it's fully fueled. Sure, monoprop is fine. Actually, it's gone through quite a bit. Let's let all those refill. Then we'll get our lander back up once it has enough ore. We'll bring the ore and that Kerman to our capsule here. Our modified capsule with the ore. section up top. And we will jettison that. And send it back to Kerbin. This monoprop's taking forever. Really wish this was going faster. We are up to 6 Kerman on station, though. It's like watching paint dry. Come on. I still gotta do these other tanks. Okay, we still have tanks on this side. Yep, there's our 4. Make sure we load these evenly, so we don't have any weird pitch or yaw problems here. And we can finally eject that thing and send it on its way to go rescue our stranded capsule there, our stranded lander. There we go. Now we undock. I have that in reverse. There we go. Love that this registers as 0 delta V. It's because these are not activated? That would be why. Excellent. Coming up on the descending node now. It's a good start. Maybe a 10-second burn. In 6 minutes. So warp a little closer there. So warp a little more. I'm going to be about 5 seconds away from the maneuver node when we start to burn. Okay, we should be on the correct inclination now. Excellent. Okay, that would be our rendezvous burn. Which is a 2-second burn. Coming up in 7 minutes. So we'll warp to that maneuver. Just dawned on me, this is literally the only way you could aim this craft to not get solar charge, but we're getting a tiny amount right there. Overshot. Need to correct that a little bit just to make sure our timing is dead on. Yeah, see that little bit off makes a big difference. Okay. See if it's even possible to improve that slightly from this position. 0.4 is still our best bet. Not sure what the difference is between these two orbits. If it's going to be a little more altitude requirement, all timing, or what it's going to need to be. I don't want to adjust it that fast. If you could just kindly not freak out. Oh, shit. Okay. That was a key I was not supposed to hit. Gonna blind maneuver real quick and see if we can reverse those effects there. Or just make them worse. One of those two. One of those two things. Okay. Back to doing retrograde burning here. Well, I've got a chance to mess with my maneuver node, won't I? We had a 0.3 there for a second. Okay, that's gonna work out, I guess. Take that for what it is. Just goofed up a major maneuver, no big deal. So we're going to aim directly again for the maneuver. This time we're going to throttle down significantly. 12.5. 12.5, okay. That's maybe a little too much throttle down. Let's do 25 then. That's closer. Better. Just stick with it. This burn's coming up in only a few seconds. Yeah, I think we've possibly made up for our goof up there. Sort of. Now we have. Okay, let's warp all the way around. Throttle our engines up to full. Aim retrograde to target. Warp in nice and close. Alright, we're going in for the dock. Perfect docking. Alright. Now. Shut down those engines. Now we can start planning our rendezvous back to the station. So our next ascending node, really. Which apparently takes a ton of burning here. Okay, that would do. Start with that burn and then we'll go from there. Second burn. Could do that. Do kind of an expedited 2-burn maneuver. Yeah, that might be what we want. So let's warp to our next maneuver. It's gonna be a 5-second burn. Oh, Minmus gravity. Sometimes you make me so happy. Just for shits and giggles. See if this node can recalculate at least a little bit. Although it does not look like it's going to. There we go. It's actually a 16-second burn, so it's a good thing I did that. So 8 seconds away, we're going to start burning. 8 seconds from our node. It's got that weird sound glitch. Although I like that popping sound when the engine ignites for the first time after running out of fuel before. The fact that it then cuts out is kind of weird. And now it'll be just fine. Yep. Interesting glitch. Okay, so that's first maneuver, check. Next maneuver. Next maneuver is a 4-second burn. This one we gotta get just right. Let's play with radial maneuvers here for a second. Nope, so we want the other one. And yes, I do realize this puts me in a negative periaps here. But we're not going to make a full orbit, so there's not too much worry there. So 1.9 is actually the sweet spot there. How the heck is going on there? Oh, we have inclination difference. That's bad. That's no bueno. Okay, so an incredibly tiny maneuver coming up. Put us back on course. Almost there. So slowly, carefully. Bingo. Alright. Perfect. Put our engine back up to full throttle. We're going to warp around to our rendezvous. Aim retrograde to target. Perfect. We should get within 200 meters. Rapidly approaching. We're just a little closer in. Okay, closing rapidly now. Coming up on the Deep Space Gateway. Now we have visual range. Should be very easy to stop this craft relative to the station, so I should let it get very close. At least I thought it was going to be easy. Ah, we did okay. 200 meters was really the best we could do, and we did 238, so... Alright. What side is it approaching from? It's approaching from... Okay, so it needs to be on the right side of that. Okay. So we're actually in a pretty good position. I want to be on that port right there. So put a dead stop there. Rotation mode. Set ourselves up in the correct orientation. Which is currently being very strange. Okay, pitch, yeah, roll. Why is it just drifting? Okay. Okay, that looks about right. So make sure we don't bump into anything. But looking pretty good. We're a little off angle. Just a little bit of a bumpy dock there, but nothing horrible happened. So, something to be thankful for right there. And we got our Kerman rescued. So that's definitely a plus. I do want to see this interior overlay thing. Oh, that is cool. How did I not know that that's there? Look at this. You can see where all the Kerman are. Right away. Got 3 windows in the science lab for some reason, even though there's only really 2 places for the Kerman to be. I like that feature. But anyway, we got somebody up in here, which would be Gwengar. No, Cabin. And I know I could just transfer, but I don't have any fun doing that, so we're doing this. Sending her over to the crew module. Okay. Then our rescue, Chicken EVA. But you should also take data. Okay, let go. And then over to the science lab. I'll drop all those experiments in the lab. Extra 13 Minmus experiments. Should be beneficial for sure. Look at all that science. Perfect. And for shits and giggles, EVA report. Nothing new. Okay. Now we send our rescued Kerman up to the capsule. For the return journey. And we need to get more ore from the surface. We need to go back to that second lander that should be mining still. So total we had 368 ore. We need 500 for the contract. So we need at least another 132. And then we can launch that other lander up here and then send this return vehicle on its way. So let's go check on that other lander. Looks like we're right about where we need to be. Just a little more to go. Because that would be... Yep, 66. 66 ore is what we need in each of these two tanks. So that's near perfect. Don't know why it's not mining at the moment. There we go. So just a little bit of a wait. I guess I could probably time warp a little. I don't know if that screws with drills at all. And then once this is up to 66, this will take back off. Head back into orbit. Boom. Let's just get like a half an ore or something, just to make sure that there's no tiny insignificant buffer that the station is rounding up its values at. So 66.5. Let's go to. Originally I was going to try and get more ore so I can try and process some of it in orbit, but kind of bailing on that plan, I think. So we're already low on Delta V to take back off here. Adding more weight is not going to help. Okay, retract the drill, retract the radiator. How am I ending up so off on the direction I need to be taking off here? What is going on here? What did I just do? I'll try that again, please. There you go. That was a total waste of fuel. Precious, precious fuel. Sure we can still get to orbit before we try to do anything else here. So we might just have another rescue situation. And by might, I mean I think we have another rescue situation here. Did I leave monoprop on this thing? I did leave a lot of monoprop. That is a saving grace here. Work this maneuver. This one might be okay. And I'll be able to close out multiple contracts, landing a Kerman and returning them to Kerman. I don't know if it'll count for the rescue person, actually. I have landed other people, but I only have room to send one back on that return vehicle. So hopefully that works. But we will also get the contract for returning ore and also the contract for saving that Kerman, who needs to return either way. So let's see, we need to make an ascending node change here. Do that. Yep, do that first. Which it does look like we'll have the fuel to do. This one definitely looks a lot better than the last time I did this one. Now this is the reserve lander though, so it does not have forward and back maneuvering thrusters for reaction control system, which is a oversight on my part and really stinks. But we can work around it if we need to. It's going to use most our fuel. Now we want to control point forward. Shut down engine. Okay, so pretty much the right inclination. Let's throw a maneuver in. Try and figure out where we can do our rendezvous. So we can't do this quite as crazy as we have done on the other one. That one should do. It's only 26 meters per second, which we could almost do that with just regular fuel and be fine. In fact, we could, I think. But then we'd have 20.7 meters per second of relative speed to cancel here. So I think what I'd rather do is attempt to do that with RCS. So I'm gonna warp our way up to the maneuver here. quote-unquote aim at the maneuver, which is actually aiming forward. To remember to disable that later. Oop, shoot. Miss our window a little bit. Well, that's okay. We seem to be doing okay. Cool. We are just a little off, which we just made worse because I forgot to disable the RCS. Okay. So what we want to do should be radial adjustment at this point. Yep, radial adjustment. So we need to go back to orbit, targeting. Nope, overdid it. Disable that, please. Okay, well, apparently the best it's going to let me get to is 0.1. So 100 meters off, which isn't bad. That's actually really good. But I'm just being picky. Basically because I can afford to be picky. So now what we need to do is go back to control point up. Need to cancel thrust, cancel RCS, go back to staging mode, activate engine once again. Now, when we get there, we will have 20.7 meters a second to cancel out. So we will be able to come to a nice, safe, station-keeping position off the side of the station. Without much of an issue at all. And we'll have just a little bit of forward thrust left to actually dock us. And some RCS to put us in the right position. And with a whole, like, 3 meters a second of delta V left in change. Not too shabby. So remember, I can get him outside of 100 meters here if I time everything correctly. Why is this in roll mode? Okay. It's interesting. It seems to be working correctly now. So, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to end up going for this dock because that's the one we're lined up for. Or closest lined up for. So my challenge right now is just going to be to line us up to the dock. Get us in the correct orientation. And if we can do that, then when we're lined up, we'll apply some forward throttle and take it in for the final docking. We won't need any RCS for forward and back at all, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Actually, pretty good to get lined up perfect for this dock. Just burning the wrong way in this regard. A little combination of my eyes and my instruments here. Okay, so now we're perfectly lined up. We'll turn RCS off, go back to staging mode. Apply just a little bit of forward thrust. Back to docking mode. Back to RCS, and we will just manipulate our approach ever so slightly as we go. Just keeping us lined up. Making sure there's no drift. This isn't Tokyo, we don't need the drift. Reminds me nothing so much as trying to smuggle in Elite Dangerous. Doing the cold the cold approach method on a station. So this is going to be a little bit of a hard dock, but we're just going to let it go. Bingo. So yeah, a little bit of an impact there. Nothing it couldn't handle. Worked out perfect. And look at all that leftover fuel. 0.61 units of liquid fuel and 0.74 of oxidizer. We We did way better than we need to. Tons of excess fuel. Now, we need to figure out how we're going to divvy up the leftover ore. So this is not going to be that easy. So I think what I'm going to do is fill all 4 radial tanks and then put the excess in the middle. That should give us a nice balanced payload. Now the reentry on this is going to be freaky. I'm just hoping those little tiny fins are enough to keep this properly pointed on its way to re-entry. And if not, we can separate just the bottom portion here. And say screw the ore and save the Kerman. So we've yet to fail a contract. I'd like to keep it that way. Exactly 501 ore when the contract's for 500. Very nice. Wait, nope. There we go. Alright, load up the return vehicle. Not sure if it's going to have enough Delta V, actually, to accomplish that. Might, actually. I'm going to at least disconnect it and see. If all looks good, we'll continue on with it. It should be able to return to Kerbin on its own power. No. No, it cannot. That's a quick answer. That ore is apparently quite heavy. So we're going to have to give it some space, come back and redock it. We're going to have to send it with the transfer vehicle. Which isn't the end of the world, but would have been cooler to not have to do that. So, with that in mind, let's put a little more fuel in the transfer vehicle. Not gonna worry about filling it up all the way, because now this should be overkill. Okay, so to return to Kerbin, we need to do our burn here. Shouldn't be a very drastic burn to escape. That should get us maximum distance. Okay. So we're gonna have a 3-second burn. Get ourselves some distance from the station here. Okay, get that in position. Work to our maneuver. All right. So if this goes how I think it's going to go, we'll close out this ore contract. We'll close out this Explore Minmus contract. And we'll do this rescue contract all in one. If all goes according to plan. 3 big contracts and 1 hit. This is why I'm glad I take an infrastructure approach to slowly moving out to other planets in Kerbal. It's not as exciting, of course, as single launches, but able to do a lot more. That's also what NASA originally wanted to do, if Congress had allowed them to do it. And I can say bad things about Congress today because, you know, my usual FBI watch person is not getting paid right now. Alright. Pretty solid burn there. That should be fine, but I'm going to do this little bit of correction. Just because I can. And that's not enough to escape, apparently, so we're going to aim prograde again. There it is. Three days to escape. Okay. Let's switch back to the refueler, because I know in 5 days it's got a capture coming up. Which is probably now down to 4 with all the stuff we've done. I don't want to miss this. 2, actually. So we need to do this first. I'm going to do this Mun capture. I'm going to actually try to get this to the station as well. Just to make sure we have some reserve fuel in case of an emergency. Since we did leave it very short fueled. Wow, that is going to be really awkward. Okay. That's not at all what I was expecting. Okay, well, let's leave that at very high orbit for just a minute. Oh boy. We'll have to do some later maneuvering. I won't try to get to the station just yet. This is already a 55-second burn? Oh, no, okay, that's fine. 17-second burn. Still, that's a lot. So I'm just going to focus on getting us into a capture. About 8 seconds away from the burn. Or from the maneuvers where I'm going to start the burn. By the time this gets to the station, it might not have any spare fuel to bring it. I mean, this was originally a disposable fuel tank, and I was just keeping it because of the AJ-10, which we can now use again. Because it was temporarily something we could not replace. So, if this does just need to burn up and die, I'm not going to be heartbroken, but That's actually not that bad. It's only 8-second burn. I am gonna do that now. So about 4 seconds away from the maneuver node, I'm going to kick it back on. Or I could just miss my window again. Whichever. A little bit of correction. A little bit more correction. Overdid the correction, so now more correction. With a thrust limit this time. There we go. Alright. Plan a rendezvous. At a 0.1. Bingo. I like those maneuvers. Now, have a 4-second burn. Man, I'm getting tired. Do I really do that like exactly at 9 o'clock every time? Okay, no, I'm like a couple minutes off. But it seems like my first yawn is always right at 9. I've trained my internal clock a little too well. Two. Okay, just a little bit of correction. Bingo, 0.1. Alright. Not bad. Full thrust. How's our little transfer vehicle doing? Not too bad. Equus is still on its way back. And this is in how long? 2 hours? Yeah, let's warp here. We'll do our very high velocity rendezvous again. So we have 170 meters a second of delta V required to match speed with the station at full throttle. So, well, delta V is delta V. It doesn't matter if it's at full throttle, but we are going to be at full throttle. So what I want to see is how much time does it take to burn 170 meters a second on this vehicle. It takes 4 seconds, so it's going to be a 4-second burn from this point, which is our closest intersect. So at 2 seconds from that node is where we're going to want to start braking. So we want to go and aim retrograde to target. That's going to be doing our actual aiming. And when we are 4 seconds away from that node, or 2 seconds away from that node, we're going to start our burn. Get us nice and close. Come on. Okay. Now I could eyeball it a little bit if need be. So if things are looking like they're heading south and I haven't done my math right, then that's one thing. I'll hit full throttle and save us. But I'm gonna see. It should be about 2 seconds from that node. So it should be node T-2 should be where I want to hit full throttle. The rendezvous equivalent of a suicide burn, which I guess would still just be a suicide burn. Three, two. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. So now just barely off the station now. Plenty of monoprop. That SAS took care of the wobble. Has this thing figured out its electric situation? Not really. But I do need to see the lights. I know what we're doing here. That's our port that we want to be docking at. Perfect. Perfecto. So let's just line ourselves up a little better. Why is it? Okay. What the hell are you doing? There we go. Figuring out the orientation on this is ridiculous. As long as I get this maneuver node, it's not so bad. Now we're going to turn off the lights and try and save a little bit of electric charge here. Shut down the engine just to avoid there being any issues. Close the distance just a little more. Close the distance just a little faster than we were. Pretty solid. Alright, so we got reserve fuel back on the station. Some extra solar panels, hopefully to help with that electric charge issue. Should be a lot of science to transmit down later. Yep, 63 is pretty good. Another 63 on this one probably, 62. Not bad, we'll come back to that in a little bit. Our transfer vehicle should almost be ready for its first burn. Returning to Kerbin here. Almost. Okay, now. First get it to high orbit. I don't like that we'd have to... Well, let's see, okay. We should get more and more in front of Minmus as we go. Yeah, right here we wouldn't have to do any of that weirdness. Would have some weird moon encounters if we time everything wrong. I think right there would be fine. Maybe a little higher to make the approach to the actual station easier. Yeah, 500,000 is probably fine. That maneuver's not for 7 days. Ugh. Well, guess we're time warping. I usually do not time warp a multitude of days. I usually hate doing that. But, I am pretty dedicated to getting this part of the mission taken care of. Why is this acting like I need to stage my engines? Wait a minute. I most certainly do not need to stage my engines. This darn thing is out of its freaking mind. Okay, better. Okay, let's auto-aim retrograde. Alright. Now, 14 seconds from the maneuver node. We're going to hit full throttle. Okay. Now I got a crazy wait for the periapse. Which is now in 7 days. And a 1 minute 20-second burn. I'm gonna warp it through the 7 days, I guess. At least we're gonna have a lot of science done on the stations. Well, let's do this in 2 maneuvers then. First, the ascending node. And also the retrograde. Let's just do them both. Alright, let's do that first. So we're about to come up on our maneuver node and miss our window. We need to be pointed at our node at 32 seconds away, so we only got a few seconds here to pull this off. And there's our window. It's moving away from us. So quickly back to pointing the way we're supposed to point. So the return vehicle, we're going to target bringing it back to the station, but the transfer vehicle. But the return vehicle, obviously, we're not going to bother. We're going to separate that off and attempt its crazy re-entry that hopefully doesn't kill the Kerman. I think I've put enough safety precautions in place. I think. But I've never tried to land ore on Kerbin before. So I have no idea if this little contraption is going to be anywhere near safe. And it is not going to be top heavy, which is a problem. You do want things to always be top heavy. So hopefully those fins at the back will help. Okay, now we can work on the maneuver to rendezvous with the station. We don't necessarily need to do it in any particular place either. So we can just... Okay, maybe not burn so that we smash into the planet, though. That's typically not a good idea. Forgot this wasn't really a perfectly circular orbit, so it's a little challenging to try and plan that out here. Well, that's opposite sides of the planet, so that's not going to work. Let's try right there. This looks more promising. Point 7, is that really where we're supposed to? Well, because there is some slight inclination change. That should do. Relative speed 525.5 meters per second. Holy sh... Okay, that's going to be an interesting stopping maneuver. Well, let's get to this maneuver first. Let's make sure we actually get a rendezvous. Oop, and I, once again, time warped too far. Maybe not. I can auto aim to retrograde and possibly make up the time. Correction. A lot of wobble on this. Maybe a design issue I should have looked into. 5.1. That is really bad. So, what are we mostly off by? Mostly timing. So we need to change our radial, which would be this one, I think. We're going to test this theory carefully. Test this theory. Nope. Okay. That's a quick answer to that. So flip around again. There we go. There's our 0.2 we were hoping for. Now I need to see how much time it's going to take to break 523.3 meters per second. $49 seconds. So about 50 seconds. About 50 seconds if I want to round it. Which I do because I don't trust myself to be exactly dead on here. So about 25 seconds away from that point. Oh boy. We're going to want to be aiming target and retrograde. And 25 seconds out, we're going to have to start decelerating. Make sure we don't overshoot it this time. Alright, so already starting our deceleration at 12 kilometers away. Now already down to 10 kilometers away. Down to 7. Still decelerating. Down to 5. 4. 3. There's our physics loading. There we go. 2. Less than 1 kilometer away. Still doing 120 meters per second relative to the station. Quickly decelerating. There we go, not bad. There's our 200 meter intersect right there. 200.3 to be exact. Alright. So all that's fine and dandy. We did what we were supposed to do. We are going to dock this with the station. I think I'm going to dock it and then do this. I said I wasn't going to do that, but no, it's going to be a pain in the butt to do that. Let's just go ahead and start transferring fuel. So we're going to refill this craft to make sure it can properly decelerate from this orbit. And on the flip side, we're going to take all the monoprop out. We're going to give all the monoprop to the craft here that needs to do the transferring. So we can dock safely. So we're going to take all 4 of those monoprop tanks. I'm going to refill this 1 tank. I can split it up later. Or maybe I don't have to. Did those just That was the exact amount? Holy crap. Never happens. The OCD person in me just absolutely crapped himself. Okay, so all that's transferred. This thing's gonna go do its docking in a little bit. First, we're gonna send this little vehicle on its way. So we're going to want to aim retrograde. Coming up into the daylight soon, though. I might just wait for that just to make sure we actually see what we're doing. It's kind of trippy looking. I guess I could have been doing this docking procedure while this was happening. Oh, great. And we're going to try and dock that up with this top ring again, I think. Just a concert of vehicles. I think I hit the port right there. Yep. Perfect. Plenty of monoprop now. Try and make this quick so I can do our deorbiting as well. Okay, so far so good. Let's try and set up our orientation. It's pretty good. Now going to control it from the belly port that we're going to try to dock with. Oh, this thing is wobbly. I'm glad I didn't try to do this with that other craft on the nose of this, or this would just be all the more challenging. Okay, don't break any solar panels now. There we go. Docked.